you could trust them for the most part before.
Yeah.
But there was always, because it was always about, if they're in control, then they can make sure you're getting the narrative and it's like you're getting the information is fine. It's that anything outside of their control was worrisome. Now they've lost control.
Yeah.
That's why I think the good guys are winning. You know, Michael Malice was saying this. We did the show with Alex Jones. This is why we know the good guys are winning, that these conversations can happen, or a conversation like this, because they are so desperate. These political activists, these authoritarian, anti-speech individuals, they're so desperate. They're putting out stories that are so insanely obviously fake. But it's because what do? People are starting to realize that Trump actually does have legal plans. There may actually be evidence. And I'll tell you this, if they didn't do this story, I'd have thought Trump was going to lose. Because I've been saying it for a long time. I think Joe Biden is very likely going to be the next, he's going to be the next president.
And Tim, that headline got me. I read that on Twitter and I was like, oh.
But check it out. Yeah. Right. But listen, the fact that they would say something so brazen says to me, somebody's scared. Because look, so what you got to understand is that these news outlets, not every single journalist is a political activist, but there are political activists there. I'll give you a good example. Yeah. Politico wrote a story in, I think it was January of 2017, about Ukrainian meddling in the U.S. election and how the Ukrainians were desperate now that Trump had won to make amends. Later on, when this became big news with the impeachment, Politico ran another story claiming there never was Ukrainian interference in the election, which is really strange because they were the ones who reported it. So are you going to retract they didn't retract. So Politico is simultaneously running a story saying Ukrainians meddled and we're trying to make amends with Trump, and Ukrainians never meddled. It's fake news.
I remember.
Because the person who wrote the fake news, that Ukrainian meddling was fake news, is the activist. An individual who's got a contract with MSNBC, writing a story that supports the political narrative. So I'm not saying there's a grand conspiracy where it's Mockingbird and the journalists were hired by the CIA. I'm saying these people get these jobs because they are Democrats. They want Democrats to win, and then they say, I'm a journalist, but the Democrats are always right.
But Operation Mockingbird was a real thing in the 70s and before, when the CIA would hire and pay journalists to write pro-American propaganda, and for all we know, it's still going on. They said they stopped doing it.
Well, if I could even add, for those who remember during these times, let's not forget the New York Times pushed the Iraq War. Then after we find out that it was a quagmire, then the New York Times comes out, oh well, maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought, and there was no weapons of mass destruction. Come on, you had editors pushing this thing.
Check this out. Pull this up from Politico. Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump backfire. Kiev officials are scrambling to make amends with the president-elect after quietly working to boost Clinton. From January 11th, 2017, let's jump forward a couple of years to November 8th, 2019. Ukraine didn't interfere in 2016. Trump officials testified. Okay, perhaps the qualifier there is Trump officials testified. So is Politico now going to retract their article and say we're bad at what we do and we write fake news?
They are not.
Nope.
No.
So either way, these news organizations are garbage.
Okay, so the structural element here that is leading us to this conclusion that the cultural war is not going to be over in this election, but yet is going to persist on further, is the fact that we have no national social cohesion. And that comes from the internet and social media. Instead of one voice, Walter Cronkite telling everybody how to feel every night, what to think, what the story is, one to many, just like your professor to the crowd, like the preacher to the audience, to the flock. Now we've got many speaking to many, creating narratives that fit with all of our different genetic makeup and backgrounds and histories. Why would we all be ready for one narrative? I don't know. Now that there's a million narratives make you feel good. They make you feel sane. They make you feel like you understand the world. They make you feel like you know who's on your team. That's how we join teams, is by having a common shared knowledge, a common imagined order in their mind. And that's a narrative. And now that there's a million narratives, there's going to be a million tribes, and there's no cohesion.
So what do you think happens after everything we saw with these Trump supporters getting attacked? If Trump does, if let's say they nullify this election, 153, maybe they won't do it, because what do? You disenfranchise all these voters? Because I don't know.
I really don't know.
But what the Trump campaign has said in their lawsuit is injunction against certification because of the discrepancies, because of the problems. Only way you can do it. So that's
state legislation.
Imagine if Pennsylvania and Nevada they can't be certified. Joe Biden drops down, I think, 31 electoral votes. Trump still needs to find, I think, 6 to knock Joe Biden down under 270.
That's not impossible.
One more state. And then what do you think happens if Trump does? It's not about all of this evidence of voter fraud. That's a lot of the Trump supporters don't understand. There's certainly evidence. There's the sworn affidavits. There's like the weird mathematical anomalies. I think the biggest evidence comes from Matt Brainerd when he found people who changed their addresses but still had voted, or Nashon Garrett, who says, I did not vote. That's like the best evidence we have so far. They keep adding qualifiers to it though. Substantial voter fraud or widespread voter fraud. If you find a marked bill, okay, if there's a guy walking down the street and he buys a coffee with a marked $100 bill, like it's got blue ink on it, you're going to be like, where'd you get that? We just had a bank robbery. Now someone's trying to spend the money from the robbed bank. It's only one bill out of the how many they stole. You're going to get detained and asked for question, and they're going to question you and try and find more evidence. And maybe you stumbled upon it. Maybe it flew out of a car, but they're going to want to know why you had it. So if we hear one dude says, I did not vote, well, now we got to go and figure out who else maybe didn't vote, investigate this.
That's the thing. This is an audit. Basically what we're doing is a forensic audit. We're taking a sample size and then trying to see if we need to take more action. You just take a sample, you study it, and if the percentages, say it's enough to warrant further action, you take further action.
So that's how it should be. Like they brought up the concept of 2 different people that President Trump said were dead that were not. Yeah. And they were like, see, this never happens. But that doesn't go the other way.
Actually, it's worse than that.
If there were 2 examples of people who said that they didn't vote, but they actually got their ballots mailed in for them, they don't consider that. They don't treat that like an audit.
It's actually much worse than that. There was Flecka's. You guys know Flecka's. He put out this list of 10,000 people he says are dead. So I think it was USA Today. I can't remember which organization did a fact check. And they said, we grabbed a sample of 30 or so, around 30, and went through to figure out if these people were actually dead. And what we found was, we couldn't contact every single one.
Because they're dead?
Maybe. Hold on. Here's the best part. Here's the best part. They said, we were able to find that some of these people simply had the same name as their parents, or their birthday was entered wrong. And in one instance, one of the voters was actually dead. So I'm like, wait. Hold on. If you pull 30 out of 10,000 and find one, okay, divide the 10,000 by 30. Is that how many dead voters actually voted?
And then take that 10,000 into the rest of the election.
Exactly.
This is when the media bros accidentally tell the truth.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, true. It's framing. If you tell me you did a random audit and found one of the voters actually was really dead, doesn't that raise alarm bells?
Yeah,
like,
sure should.
Turns out we grabbed a random sample and actually found a dead voter. I read that and I'm like, How is it that they glossed over that fact? Well, it's because most of the ones we found were actually alive. Okay, great. How about you do an audit of the full 10,000? Tell me how many dead voters there are.
Well, it's like you
That's
said.
crazy.
It's like you said in the past. If this happens even one time, this is something that we have to consider. And they
like I said, a bank gets robbed, and then you see a dude trying to spend a marked bill. You're gonna be like, "Hey, buddy, where'd you get that?" And then you might actually you get a warrant. We're gonna search your vehicle because we saw that a cop walks by, he looks in the car, and he sees the bill. And then, you still got to get a warrant for it. But let's see, you go to someone's house and they see in the window, there's, a blue ink on a shirt. They're going to be like, that's evidence. It's a sign or indication that something may be true. They then get a warrant, do an investigation, go in the house, and hey, maybe they don't find anything. Maybe the guy just bought blue ink because he wanted to be like David Cross from Arrested Development or something. Or maybe they go in and find big old bags of cash. This is the craziest thing. They keep saying Trump has given no proof of widespread voter fraud. Did Trump deploy 300,000 federal agents across the country to audit every single election? No, then of course you're not going to find. That's the trick they do. That's the wordplay. Trump has found evidence, and even the minor evidence presented, like the Nevada poll worker said straight up, this weird thing happened where they came out of a Biden van, had a box of ballots or something. And she went on Laura Ingraham and said this. The guy Nashon Garrett saying, I did not vote. Those are signs or indications that fraud has occurred. Now we have to stop. Send in the investigators to see if there is widespread voter fraud. It makes you wonder, when Trump's legal team got threatened into quitting, you saw this Porter Wright, I think it's called Porter Wright and Morris, LLP, were harassed by the Lincoln Project and then abruptly withdrew from their case in Pennsylvania. They were putting out the phone numbers and email address of their lawyers, targeting their clients. That's not something honest actors do. No. If you think you're going to win, and they keep saying Trump's lawsuits are frivolous and a waste of time. What a crazy waste of time.
Then let him play out.
Then why is the press lying about him? And why are they threatening and harassing the legal teams that are filing these suits?
It's just
And the list.
disgusting.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.